greatest role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons. This is the Player's Handbook 2024. I will not read to you the credits. I will not read to you the contents. I don't think it is necessary. I can start with the introduction if you're a newbie. If you're deciding if you want to buy the book, I will read this to you. Welcome to adventure. This story began 50 years ago, and you're part of it. In the 1970s, Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson created a game of make-believe that fused rules with storytelling. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. There'd never been anything like it. A game which each player made their own fantasy character and teamed up with each of their friends to go on quests. One person served as the narrator and referee, the dungeon master, and did everything they could to challenge and delight the other players. That game was, of course, the first version of Dungeons and Dragons, and you're now reading the latest version, or listening to it. Over the decades, millions of people have played D&D, and scores of writers, game designers, and artists have made their mark on it through its various editions. When our team released the current edition in 2014, we were humbled by how many of you loved it. This revised version of it is a salute to all of you, those of you who've been playing D&D for years, those of you who have contributed to the game throughout your feedback, and those of you who are about to experience the joy of playing for the very first time. As a teenager, I met both Gary and Dave. I even spent an entire day with Gary, and we did what all D&D fans do: share stories about our adventures and in the D&D multiverse. I invite you to embark on such adventures anew. Share as much laughter as you can with your friends. Use only the rules that serves your fun. And always follow your group's bliss. So many people have been enjoying the magic of D&D for half a century. Let's keep it blazing for another 50 years. Jeremy Crawford. Adventures with your friends? Dungeons and Dragons invite you to play imaginary adventures, to delve into dungeons and other perilous locations together. Face fearsome foes such as dragons, and build friendships forged amidst fantastical dangers. This is not pre-recorded. Fueled by imagination and rules, D&D invites you to adopt fantasy persona, a mighty fighter, a cunning rogue, a faithful cleric, a magical wizard, or something else. And then solve problems, fight monsters, and visit wondrous places. There's no winning and losing in D&D. At least, not the way those terms are usually understood. Together, you and your friends create an exciting story of adventures who confront perils. Sometimes, adventurer might come to a tragic end. Even so, the other adventurers can search for powerful magics to revive their fallen comrade. Or character players might create a new character to carry on. No matter what happens, if everyone has a good time and creates a memorable story, they all win. What you need. Here's what you need to play D&D. With one or more friends, a typical group has 5 people. Dungeon Master. One person takes on the role of the Dungeon Master, DM, the game's leader, storyteller, and referee. The DM creates adventures for the player characters. who navigate its hazards and decide which paths to explore. The DM also narrates what they experience and plays the friends and foes as they meet along the way. Even though the DM challenges the adventurers, the DM always strives to delight the whole group. That's imperative, folks. Players. Each player creates an adventurer who teams up with the other player adventurers. Working together, the group might explore a dark dungeon, a ruined city, haunted castle, a lost temple, lava-filled mountain, or other location described by the DM. The adventurers also solve puzzles, talk with other characters, battle fantastic monsters, and discover magic items and other treasure, all while supporting each other's fun. That's imperative. You may also need some resources, either in physical form or on D&D Beyond. This is not supporting any group. This is free. Okay, Player's Handbook. This is your book of essential reference for the game's rules and its guides. That's what I'm reading to you. They're making an adventurer of your own. Dungeon Master's Guide and Monster's Manual. The first of these books guides the DM through creating and running adventures, and the second holds hundreds of monsters to fill those adventures. Learning by watching. A great way to learn the basics of D&D is to watch people play it. The internet offers videos of D&D play and the shows of the tremendous range of possibilities the game offers. As you watch, pay attention to the ways that some of the players help make the game fun for everyone in their group. The only audience you need to entertain when you're playing D&D is yourself and your group. You need a set of polyhedral dice shown in Chapter 1. Well, yeah, I'm going to include pictures. So, yeah, I guess you could see it. Or you could just Google it. You can find dice like these in game stores and from online realtors. Dice rolling apps are also available. Character sheet. To keep track of important information about your character, you need a character sheet, which can be as simple as a piece of paper you write notes on, or as feature-rich as digital records. The DM might also find these accessories useful. DM screen. Many DMs like to use a screen to shield their notes and dice rolls from players. It's bad manners to peek over the screen. Miniatures and a battle grid. Some DMs use battle grid and miniatures to run combat encounters, since they help everyone visualize the action. A battle grid can be anything marked out in 1-inch squares, from disposable sheets of paper to poster maps, and miniatures range from simple tokens to detailed figurines. Online maps and miniatures are also available, including on D&D Beyond. This sounds like a D&D Beyond commercial. I am not sponsored by D&D Beyond, by the way. Using this book. Here's what you'll find in this book. Chapter 1, Playing the Game. The first chapter explains the fundamentals of the game, with examples to help you understand how to play. Chapter 2, Creating a Character. By the way, it's very fun to create a character. Chapter 2 walks you through the steps of character creation. Chapter 3, Character Classes. Characters' capabilities are largely determined by a class, which as a fighter or a wizard, such as a fighter or wizard. Chapter 3 offers 12 classes to choose from, along with 48 subclasses. You have a lot of choices. Chapter 4. Character origins, Backgrounds and species are key elements of defining a character's origin, which further shapes the character's abilities beyond the choice of the class. Character background and species options are presented in Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Feats. The feats in Chapter 5 are special features that characters gain as part of their background and class. Chapter 6. Equipment. Armor, weapons, and adventuring gear are found in Chapter 6. Chapter 7. Spells. This chapter contains descriptions of spells such as spell casters can cast. Okay, I don't want to really go further. Just tells you more of what's in stuff that I can probably read when we get there. It's getting boring. What's new in the 2024 version? In this 2024 version of the 5th edition, Player's Handbook, if you're reading the 2014 version, much of this book will feel familiar, since the fundamental rules of the game are the same, but the book contains many new redesigned elements, and versions of the things of this book replace versions of the older book. Here are highlights. Streamlined rules. The game's rules have been streamlined and are now supported by a rules glossary. Easier character creation. Using Chapter 2, making a character is easier than ever before. Enhanced character classes. In Chapter 3, every class and subclass has been enhanced with new options. Reimagined origins. Explored in Chapter 4, a character origin is now defined by background and species, each of which can be redesigned. Expanded feats. In Chapter 5, feats have been redesigned with many feats added. I had to double check and see if I wrote that right. Okay. Upgraded weapons, tools, and crafting. Mastery properties transform from weapon wielders' use to their weapons. And every character can enjoy new tool and crafting rules in Chapter 6. Dazzling spells. Chapter 7 bursts with new spells and old ones that have been enhanced or enhanced. If you can't find a rule, check the index. If a rule's name has been changed from what it was printed in the 2014 Player's Handbook, the index points you to the new rule name. That's useful. For example, if you look up inspiration in the index, it points you to the rule of heroic inspiration in the rules glossary. The world of D&D glimmer with magic, monsters, and spectacular adventure. Launching from a fun foundation of medieval fantasy, these worlds soar with possibilities beyond those of our reality. D&D worlds exist in the multiverse and are connected to one another and to other planes of existence. Some of the worlds have been published as official D&D settings, including the Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, Spelljammer, Planescape, Dark Sun, Eberron, and Ravenloft settings. Alongside these worlds are thousands more created by generations of D&D players for their own games. Amid the richness of the multiverse, you might create a world of your own. The worlds of the multiverse share characteristics, but each world is set apart by its own history and geography. Your DM might set a campaign on one of these worlds or on the world of their own version. Because there are so many variants amongst the D&D worlds, check your DM about the world you are upcoming adventures. Game. Imagination is the key ingredient to Dungeons & Dragons, a cooperative game in which the characters that you roleplay embark upon adventures together in a fantasy world filled with monsters and magic. In D&D, the action takes place in the imaginations of the players, and it's narrative by everyone together. Here's a glimpse of what it looks like. Jared, as Dungeon Master. After your long journey, Castle Ravenloft towers before you, crumbling towers of stone. Perhaps abandoned, guarded houses loom over the approach. Beyond them, you see the gaping chasm disappearing into deep fog below. A lowered drawbridge spans the chasm, its chains creaking in the wind. Stone gargoyles stare down at you from high walls, and a pale white light spills into the courtyard from one open castle doors beyond. Philip, as Gareth. I examine the gargoyles. I have a feeling that they're not just statues. I want to see how sturdy the drawbridge is. Do you think we can cross it? Or is it going to collapse under our weight? Jared. All right. One at a time. Philip. Gareth's looking into the gargoyles. Philip. Yeah. Is it there any hint that they might be creatures and not just decorations? Jared. Make an intelligence check. Philip. Does my investigation still apply? Jared. Sure. Philip. Rolling the d20. 7. Jared. They look like decorations to you. And Mauve. Marabella is examining the drawbridge. Relying on the DM's descriptions to set the scenes. Later in the chapter, other examples of play focus on certain aspects of D&D play, social interactions, exploration, and combat. Rules glossary. If you read the rule terms in this book and want to know its definition, consult the rules glossary, which is in Appendix C. This chapter provides an overview of how to play D&D and focuses on the big picture. Many places in this chapter reference the glossary. To play D&D, you need one person to be the Dungeon Master and other players. 3 to 6 are best to play adventures. Which role is right for you? Being a player. If you want to be one of the protagonists in your group's adventures, consider being a player. Here's what players do. Character. Your character is your alter ego in fantasy world of the game. After you read this chapter, use the rules in chapter 2 to create your character. Team up. Your character joins with other player characters to form an adventuring play party. Ooh. Okay. These adventurers are allies. I'm sorry, I'm not pre-recording these. I'm doing them as is, so bear with me. These adventurers are allies who face challenges and fantastical situations together. Each character brings distinctive capabilities, which ideally complement those of the other characters. Venture forth. Your character's group explores locations and events presented by the DM. You can respond to them in any way you can imagine, guided by the rules of this book. Although the DM controls all the monsters you encounter, the DM isn't your adversary. The DM guides your party's journey, and your characters become more powerful. Being the Dungeon Master. To be the mastermind of the game, consider being the DM. Here's what the DMs do. Build adventures. You prepare the adventures that the players experience. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, you'll find advice for how to create adventures and even hold worlds. Just imagine. Guide the story. You narrate much of the action during the play, describing locations and creatures and the adventures they face. The players decide what their characters do as they navigate hazards and choose what to explore. Then a use of combined imagination and the game's rules to determine the results of the adventurer's decisions. You oversee how the group uses the game's rules, making sure that the rules serve the group's fun. You'll want to read the rest of this chapter to understand those rules, and you'll find the rules glossary essential. Well, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. Okay, so my name is Deanne, and I hope you enjoyed the reading of the Player's Handbook 2024. And if you want a reading that is straightforward, with no mistakes, go buy the book yourself. So this is for you if you're deciding if you want to buy the book, or if maybe you have trouble reading. So maybe I am going to be assistance to you for that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, because I plan on doing the entire book. Not sure what I'm going to do without after that. But you can always give me suggestions. And, well, till next time. Bye.